Welcome. In this video, we're going to copy an angle. So we're going to start with a given angle and make an exact copy of it using only geometric construction tools. Remember what those are, just a little review. A compass, that's a circle drawing or an arc, circular arc drawing tool with a point and a pencil. And a straight edge, okay? Technically an unmarked straight edge. If you use a ruler, you have to ignore the marks on the ruler. It's only for the purpose of drawing straight line segments. Okay, I'm going to be using Autodesk Sketchbook to do the construction, but it has the same tools. So the starting condition here is you're starting with an angle. If you recall, an angle is two rays with a common starting point known as a vertex. Okay, so here we have an angle with a vertex A. Okay, and my task is to construct another angle. Okay, and by the way, symbolically, we represent that as angle A. Okay. Now we want to construct another angle, say call it angle B, that has the same measure, that is a copy of angle A. Okay. So here are the steps, and you'll find the steps can vary a little bit in order as you understand the steps a little bit better. I'm going to start by placing some point. I'm going to call it B on my paper. It literally can be anywhere on my page, but preferably not on the angle, on the already existing angle. But somewhere I'm going to place angle B, okay? And then, or vertex B. Then I'm going to use my straight edge, okay, to draw a ray from angle B any direction I like. I'm going to have it go off to the upper right in this case, okay? So we've got a ray starting from B. Okay, so that is going to be one of the sides of my angle. Now I want to make sure that the other ray starting from B is headed in the right direction. That's my goal. But in order to do that, I need to determine the point that's on that leg or that side of the angle. And here are the steps for doing that. I'm going to take my compass. I'm going to place my point on angle A, set it to something convenient, and I'm going to draw an arc, a circular arc that crosses both legs or both sides of the angle. Now, mind you, I could do it this way and just mark where it crosses, okay? But I prefer, for the sake of simplicity, just to draw a circular arc that crosses both sides of the angle, okay? Now, it's important on this very next step that we not change the setting of the compass. The compass is set so that I can draw this arc that crosses both sides. Okay, when I place my compass on point B, I'm going to keep the compass set to exactly the same size. And I'm going to draw an arc about the same length, or actually even a little bit longer than the arc I drew. Okay, so the arc at B is a copy of the arc at A. All right, it has the same radius at least. Now here's where the measurement piece happens. Okay, the intersection of two components, like two arcs or an arc and a ray, determine a point. So the intersection of this arc at A, intersecting the side of angle A, forms a point. I'm going to label that C. I was going to call it B, but we already used that. So I'm going to label that C. I'm going to label the other intersection point D, and I'm going to label the intersection of the new arc and the ray from B as E. This is just so that I can refer to them in the steps, and so it's clear what I'm talking about. So I'm now going to measure, and the way we measure is we put our compass point at C, and we put our pencil on our compass at D. Okay, very precisely. And remember when we measure with a compass, it's important that we draw a little arc. Oh, and that's too big. And sometimes you might have to erase. There we go. That's good. Draw a little arc to show that you measured. Because remember, constructions are not just about precise drawings. They're about demonstrating the steps by which we achieve the results that we do. So arc from centered at C going through D. Draw a small little arc. So that's known as measuring the gap or measuring CD. Now I'm going to copy the gap, which means I'm going to place my compass point on E, and I'm not going to change the compass setting, and I'm going to draw a little arc that crosses the arc I drew previously. Okay? And as I mentioned, the intersection of two components determines a point. So here, the intersection of this little measurement arc and the arc centered at B through E determines a point. We're going to label this point F. Okay? And now CD has the same distance as EF. So now my final step, I'm going to place my straight edge on B, and I'm going to place my straight edge on F, and I'm going to draw a ray from B through F. And that brings out one of the other principles, and that is for lines, segments, and rays. We need two determined points, two unique points to determine a ray, a segment, or a line. Okay? Just like two intersecting components can determine a point, 2 points can determine a unique line, ray, or segment. Okay? And lo and behold, now, angle B is congruent to angle A. So let me write out the steps again. So step 1, we drew a ray at B. And B is not on angle A. Okay, that was step 1. Step 2, we drew an arc at A that crosses both sides of the angle. Step 2. Step 3, we copied the arc to B. That's step 3. And we determined the intersection points E and F. Step 4, we measured the gap. We measured the distance between C and D. That was step 4. Step 5, we copied the measure to E, and that determined F. And finally, step 6, we drew ray BF. Okay, so hopefully that's fairly clear. Let me know if you have any questions.